Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. I hope your day and your week have been going very well so far. We got a new day, which of course means a new NBA player prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. All right, guys, with a new day comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. And although yesterday was technically the start of the NBA season with 2 games, tonight is the real. That was the appetizer. This is the main course. A full slate, a ton of games, ton of options for player props. Our first real full NBA day of the 2025-2026 season. And I could not be more excited to go ahead and break down today's slate and give you guys some player props in today's video. Quickly, before we do that, I have 6 player props to share with you guys in today's video. A little bit of housekeeping to do. First and foremost, a recap of how we did last night. And look, guys, admittedly, wasn't a great start to the year. We did have a couple of close misses there. SGA with, double overtime. He finished with 10 rebounds and assists, missed it by 1. Amen Thompson, he did actually get some rebounds later on, but 0 in the first half. Made it kind of tough to go ahead and cash that over. Curry's over. This was a plus money play. We put half a unit, lost that one. But Luka Doncic did come through for us ultimately with over 7.5 assists. So 1 and 3, not the best starts of the year, guys, but we have so many days of NBA to go. Like, if you guys have been around for a while now watching my videos, it's one day. We have so many great days ahead of us. So much winning player prop action to do and give out in this year's season. So I'm not worried about it. It's one slow day. It's always difficult to bet here in the early days of the season. We're going to bounce back. Don't worry. We're not going to break glass in case of emergency over a 1 and 3 start to the season. We're fine. And last thing we have to do before we can actually go ahead and break down the picks is award our tip-off gift card giveaway winner from yesterday's video. Shout out to Mikey J432. Tip off winner chicken dinner. We didn't actually win a lot yesterday, or win at all actually, but I appreciate the sentiment. You have won a free $25 Amazon gift card. Go ahead and DM me on Instagram at TassosPicks at TASOSPicks, and we'll go ahead and get you that free Amazon gift card. All right, guys, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into today's NBA picks. All right, guys, jumping over to the outlier screen, our first of 6 player props in today's video comes from the Nets-Hornets game, 7 p.m. tip-off. I'm going with Brandon Miller of the Charlotte Hornets over 22.5 points plus assists, which I'm grabbing for -111, best odds available to me over on DraftKings. As always, guys, make sure to shop around for the best sportsbook odds available. And look at the numbers now. Obviously, Brandon Miller did not play a ton last year, only 27 games played, but he did cash this over in 70% of the games he did play last year, averaging 24.67 points per game last year. And LaMelo Ball actually is healthy to start the year for the Hornets. That doesn't affect the numbers all that much. He still cashed this at a pretty much, I think it was 60% hit rate. Want to make sure I got the number right. Yes, 60% hit rate with LaMelo Ball. He played 20 games with LaMelo last year. Still cashed at a 60% hit rate, averaging 23.1 points plus assists per game. Obviously, without LaMelo, his numbers went up quite a bit, but even with LaMelo, I still like the over. We also have the insight provided by Outlier. Brandon Miller has exceeded 22.5 points plus assists in 16 of his last 18 games, averaging 27.4 points plus assists per game over his last 18 games. So really good numbers across the board here for Brandon Miller. Obviously, all outdated data from last year. That's what we have to go off on for all these player props here in the early part of this year. Until we get more data, we're using all 2024 numbers. Unfortunately, that's how we have to do it. So the overall data looks to be good. The last 20 game numbers, really, really good. Even from a head-to-head perspective, he did play Brooklyn last year, and LaMelo Ball was in that game as well. Brandon Miller had 29 points and 4 assists in that game against the Nets last year back in November. So pretty good numbers. Looks pretty good from a matchup perspective. The Nets did rank pretty well defensively last year, but they did overhaul their roster in a lot of different ways. They're a very young team, a lot of kids on this roster. I just don't know how much defense is going to be played. I mean, Cam Thomas is not known as a world-class defender, and I don't know how rookie Igor Demon is actually going to do defensively as well. So those are their perimeter defenders, excuse me. I just don't know how they're going to slow down Miller and Ball. I think Brandon Miller should have a pretty big day, whether it be dishing it off to somebody else or scoring on his own. Good matchup spot for him, honestly. And, for -111, the value is certainly there. All right, guys, my second player prop in today's video comes from the Raptors-Hawks game, 7:30 p.m. tip-off. I'm going with Brandon Ingram of the Toronto Raptors over 22.5 points plus assists. I'm grabbing this one for -104 over on FanDuel, best odds available to me. And another guy coming off an injury-plagued year where he only played 18 games last season, and unlike the previous player prop with Brandon Miller, this one, Ingram was on a totally different team, all 18 games last year with the New Orleans Pelicans. He did cash at a 72% hit rate, averaging 27.39 points plus assists per game overall last year. Again, very small sample size, different team, so definitely outdated data. And I don't think this Raptors team is going to be all that good. They're a kind of a weird fit with RJ Barrett and Ingram and Barnes and Grady Dick and Emmanuel Quickly. Like they're a team that, honestly, on paper, they've got some talent, but it's kind of clunky. I don't really know how, specifically Barrett, Ingram, and Barnes on the court at the same time, how that will necessarily work. But there's one thing I know about Brandon Ingram. He is the king of empty stats, okay? Whether they win or lose, he's going to get his numbers. Is it going to be efficient? Probably not. But Ingram puts up numbers. This is the thing of his career. If you look at his numbers, he's always been a regular season numbers guy. The guy scores. He scores and he dishes off the ball. Are they assists to help you win games? Not necessarily, but they are assists, and that's what we care about here. In this spot. From a head-to-head perspective, he did play Atlanta last year with New Orleans. He had 32 points and 2 assists in that game, so we do have a little head-to-head data to go off of here. The insights provided by Outlier tell us he's exceeded this line in 10 of his last 13 games, averaging 27.8 points plus assists per game over those 13 games, that being a 77% hit rate. Now, will he take 19 shots per game? You know, in the Raptors jersey, I don't know. Obviously, he's got to share the workload with Barnes and Barrett. But, like, obviously, it's not like New Orleans had nobody. You know, he had for a little bit DeJounte Murray and Zion and all these other pieces. So, I think Ingram will still get his at the end of the day. It's also a very good defensive matchup. Atlanta last year, bottom 10 team in terms of points and assists allowed overall. We narrow this down to the small forward position. They were actually the second worst defense in terms of points allowed to the small forward position, and the worst defense in the NBA last year in terms of assists allowed to the small forward position. So they should be better. They added a lot of talent in the offseason. I still think they're not a great defensive team, if we're being honest. It's going to take some time to turn this defense around. I think Brandon Ingram should go ahead and cover this line. All right, guys, our third player prop in today's video comes from the Clippers-Jazz game, 9 p.m. tip-off. We're kind of bouncing around in terms of the game time starts here. But I got James Harden of the Clippers over 29.5 points plus assists, which I'm grabbing for minus 102 over on FanDuel. Also available for the same odds over on DraftKings. Again, the key stat I'm looking at here in the early part of the year, guys, because, again, one more time, we don't have any current relevant data to go off of, is the head-to-head. The head-to-head numbers are where I'm really looking for the value in these plays. Harden cashed the over in all 4 games against the Utah Jazz last year and had really big performances, averaging 39.25 points plus assists per game across those last 4 matchups. So really good numbers from a head-to-head standpoint. Overall in 2024, he cashed this at a 60% hit rate, averaging 31.21 points plus assists per game overall last year. Even the last 20 games closing out the year, including playoffs, he cashed at a 55% hit rate. The postseason was not as kind to Harden, but he did have good numbers, averaging 31.3 points plus assists per game. In the regular season, and more particularly, Harden in the regular season is definitely a bigger numbers guy than necessarily. We know his history in the playoffs, his track record there. But regular season, Harden puts up numbers. I don't think that's going to change here. The Jazz overall last year were the worst team in the NBA defensively, 30th in points allowed, 30th in assists allowed. Versus point guards, 24th in points and 29th in assists. Again, I don't think the Jazz did enough in the offseason. They're going to be a better defensive team. Maybe slightly better, sure. I don't know how Ace Bailey will help things and the other pieces they added, but this is still going to be a pretty bad team overall, and especially defensively. So I think James Harden should have a big game. The one real obstacle with this player prop is going to be, how does Harden operate from a numbers perspective in this lineup with all the new pieces they have? Look at their lineup there. For maybe the only time this year, the Clippers are going to be at full strength. The geriatric squad. The Warriors also fit that description too, by the way. They're fully healthy. Bradley Beal's there. Kawhi Leonard, which is, that's a rarity lately. Kawhi Leonard's there. They have John Collins now on the team. Zubac is there. So it's going to be interesting to see. The one thing I do think, he's going to have a lot of assists, a lot of opportunities to pass it off and have quality scorers score the ball. The one area I would be concerned is how many points will he score in this spot. Again, I still like it overall. I think Harden is a reliable guy. The offense does kind of run through him a little bit. So I think over 29.5 points plus assists is not bad. His numbers actually kind of increased when he played with Kawhi Leonard last year. 66% hit rate when Kawhi played. He averaged 31.91 points plus assists per game when Kawhi Leonard played. So with Kawhi sharing the court with him, he still cashed at a pretty high rate. Again, now this is Kawhi, Beal, Collins. We'll see how that all kind of chalks up to be, but I think the over is still a very good play. The offense runs through Harden quite literally. He is the point guard. By the way, guys, we're about to hit the 10-minute mark in today's video, so go ahead and comment 10 down below if you are still watching at this point. As always, guys, we appreciate those who watch through the entire video. We know they're longer. We know we give a lot of picks in these videos. So if you do stick around and watch all the way through, we really do appreciate you. All right, guys, our fourth player prop in today's video comes from the Sixers-Celtics game, 7:30 p.m. tip-off. We're going Anthony Simons of the Boston Celtics over 19.5 points plus rebounds. Grabbing that for -118 over on FanDuel. Best odds available to me. Similar to the Brandon Ingram prop, another player who is changing teams in the offseason. So we do have to take this with a grain of salt, his 2024 data. He did have a 60% hit rate last year as a member of the Portland Trailblazers, cashing the over in 42 of 70 games last year, averaging 21.96 points plus rebounds per game overall last season. Simon's pretty good numbers, even from a head-to-head standpoint. He played the Sixers twice last year as a member of the Blazers. He cashed the over both times. He had 25 points and 4 rebounds on December 30th, and he had 34 points and 4 rebounds on March 3rd. Now, we have to note right off the bat, he took 26 shots against against the Sixers the last time they played, and 18 shots against Sixers the first time they played last year. So an average of somewhere around like 22 shots per game when playing the Sixers last year. I don't necessarily think on this Celtics team he's going to get that kind of workload, but if we could take anything from the preseason, in the preseason it's hard to take too much from because it is the preseason. It's not real basketball. They did give Simons a healthy amount of shots. He took at least 7 threes. He played in 3 preseason games for the Celtics. He took 7 threes, 9 threes, and 9 threes. So a healthy volume of 3-point shots. He took at least 12 shots in all 3 games. So one thing I do know, Simons is going to take a lot of shots. He has the green light. This Celtics team loves to chuck the 3 ball. Simons is going to take anywhere between 9 and 11 threes. Unfortunate number usage there. An average of somewhere around 10 threes per game, I would assume, based off the amount the Celtics shoot, his style of play. He's going to get a healthy amount of shots. So when the line is 19.5 points plus rebounds, granted, you could have just did points straight up, but I think he does grab a few rebounds here and there that add to the number. If you're taking around 10 threes a game, even if you shoot 30%, you go 3 for 10. That's 9 points already, and then whatever else you contribute. He's taking a lot of shots. He's got a large volume. The Celtics team is not as deep as it's been in years past. I think he's going to get the green light to shoot as much as he pleases, as long as it doesn't interfere with Derek White or Jaylen Brown's usage. But a high volume spot for sure for Simons, at least until Tatum eventually returns, if that'll be this year or not. And the Sixers defensively were not very good last year. 21st in points allowed, 26th in rebounds allowed. Versus shooting guards, to be more particular, 15th in points allowed per game to shooting guards, 19th in rebounds allowed. So it's a pretty good matchup spot overall. The Sixers were not known for playing defense, even with some of their players back and healthy. They're still not going to be a great defensive team, although we'll see what VJ Edgecombe brings to the table. But I think Simons will get a healthy amount of work and should cash this line. All right, guys, our 5th pick in today's video, we have the Pistons-Bulls game, 8 p.m. tip-off. We're going Jalen Duren here of the Detroit Pistons over 25.5 points plus rebounds. I'm grabbing that for -117 over on DraftKings. Best odds available to me. And look, right off the bat, I'll go ahead and admit the overall numbers for Duren at this line last year were not great. In 2024, he cashed this over at just a 39% hit rate, averaging 22.14 points plus rebounds per game last year. A lot of numbers going against this over, but the one key thing is the individual head-to-head matchup. He cashed the over in 3 of 4 meetings against the Bulls last year. That is, of course, a 75% hit rate on the over, averaging 29 points plus rebounds per game last season when facing the Bulls. So really good numbers here against Chicago, and it makes a lot of sense. The Bulls defensively last year were not a very good team. 3rd worst defense in the NBA in total in terms of points allowed per game. 3rd worst defense, in the NBA in terms of rebounds allowed per game. And that's just the overall team view. If you narrow it down to the center position, they were bottom 4 in terms of points allowed to centers and 18th, so still bottom half of the league in terms of rebounds allowed to opposing centers. They've got Nikola Vucevic still down there. As Vooch gets older, I don't really think his defense is going to get better. He's never been known as a world-class defender. As he continues to age and he still gets a healthy amount of work in this Bulls lineup, his defense is only going to get worse with age. I think Jalen Duren, a young, hyper-athletic big, match up with an older, less athletic Vucevic. I just think that Duren has a massive advantage here in this spot. He should dominate the boards. They're going to go ahead and look to him to score a little bit here as well. So I like this over a lot for Jalen Duren here. And real quick, guys, before we wrap up today's video and give my 6th and final player prop for today's slate, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Outlier, which is by far the best sports betting tool on the market. As you can see, Everything I've given you guys in today's video comes from Outlier. It has so much information, so much insight. I'm only giving you guys a little taste of what it provides. There's so much more. I just don't have the time to show you everything that Outlier offers. So the only way to check it all out is to try it out for yourself. Link down below in the description or the pinned comment. You'll get a 7-day free trial when you use our special link. Again, it's going to make you a better sports bettor, a smarter sports bettor. Go ahead and use it. If you want to bet player props, guys, you got to have the proper tools by your side. And Outlier is the best tool that money can buy. And again, you're getting it for 7 days free when using our special promo link, whether in the description or the pinned comment. So make sure to check that out. Thank you to Outlier for being a proud sponsor of the channel. And our 6th and final pick in today's video, guys, comes from the Wizards-Bucks game, 8 p.m. tip-off. We're going Giannis Antetokounmpo over 30.5 points. Grabbing that for -120 over on BetMGM. I just love this spot for Giannis. I think it's a great match spot. This Bucks team, I actually think the Bucks are better this year with Lillard gone. They bring in Miles Turner. They've got more depth than they had in the last couple of years. But in terms of star power, in terms of guys who are going to score, there isn't a lot of guys. Like, this is Giannis' team. He gets as many shots as he wants. He wants to take 40 shots in a game. He has the green light to do so. This is his team. He's going to be playing at an incredibly high volume. Now, he played the Wizards twice last year. He had 42 points the first time they played, just 18 in the second matchup. That being said, he only played 19 minutes in the second matchup against Washington. So it should be a lot better this time around. I mean, obviously, he's going to play first game of the year. He's healthy. A lot of minutes in this spot. He did cash this over at a 51% hit rate last year, averaging 30.51 points per game last year. If we go ahead and put a filter in to show what it looks like when he played with Damian Lillard. So we'll go with first, and then we'll go without. So with Damian Lillard last year, you see there's a 49% hit rate on the over. So he did score less when he shared the court with Dame, which is honestly not surprising. Damian Lillard, a high volume guy himself. But games without Damian Lillard last year, look down below, 56% hit rate. So again, not a massive difference, but he played 18 games last year without Damian Lillard. He averaged 31.33 points per game, and obviously had a higher volume of shots. We look down below here, minutes, almost 35 minutes per game, taking almost 19 shots per game without Lillard. We'll go back real quickly with Lillard. I forgot to show you guys that the first time. With Lillard, just to show you the volume, okay? So with Damian Lillard here, we'll put that filter on, which, by the way, another great tool of Outlier. You can put filters, okay? Still a high volume of shots, but you see the efficiency not as strong. He's taking more shots, but not necessarily as efficient. When he has the ball in his hands, when Lillard is not running the offense, when it's Giannis' team and he runs the offense, he controls the ball. He controls the movement of the offense, which benefits him. Giannis not really an off-ball player. So having a point guard like Lillard who dominates the ball, the offense kind of revolves around him a little bit more. Giannis playing on ball is way better for him. Again, he did take more shots technically with Lillard on the court, but they were more off-ball stuff. He's obviously more of an on-ball player. More drives to the basket, more free throws attempted, more fouls drawn. So yeah, a lot of great numbers there for Giannis. Again, that's with Lillard, without Lillard there, excuse me. But eliminating that, the numbers all kind of check out here. The most important piece of this player prop, guys, is the defensive matchup, though. Ultimately, Washington right now, or last year, I should say, were the second worst team in the NBA in terms of points allowed defensively. I mean, Giannis, where you put him in the lineup, he's listed as a power forward, but ultimately, I don't know if that's necessarily where you would put him as. He's kind of a positionless player. You can play him anywhere. But versus power forwards, they were bottom 5 in the NBA. Honestly, most of these positions you go around, they're bottom 5 or bottom half. Point guard's not as bad, and small forward is their best defensive position, but Giannis is a big guy. I don't think Washington has the players to go ahead and match up with him. So for him to score 31 points, first game of the year, fresh start to the season, he's motivated coming into this season. So I like the over a lot in this spot. All right, guys, those are all 6 player props in today's video. Don't worry if you miss anything. All of the final plays will be down below in the pinned comment. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. One more time, guys, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. We'll be back tomorrow with another NBA player prop video. But until then, I hope you're all winners. Let's go ahead and make some money.